kind of talked a little bit about this. The year-end processing happens in the same place that period-end processing happens. So there is a period-end task menu option in each module, and there's a period-end processing option on that menu. And the year-end process gets run if you're in the last fiscal period of your year. So really, you run a period end when we get to the end of the year. The period end process for that period will run, and the year end process kind of automatically happens. So it's run from the period end menu in each module.
And the fiscal year is defined inside a general ledger, correct?
Yeah, the fiscal year you're going to see actually you'll see the fiscal year in each module. So each module can have its own, not its own, but it can be in a different fiscal period and fiscal year. Yeah. So because the modules are run separate, you can have and we're going to talk about this a little bit in a future slide, but you can have modules in different periods, which isn't that uncommon. And so each module will have its own or a separate fiscal year that you're in.
But not a different calendar, but they could be in a different fiscal year and period, but they're going to follow the general ledger model of what is constituted as the
I got what you. Yeah, good question. I see what you're asking. Yeah, if you're on a fiscal year for tax purposes or book purposes, so you have a November 1 to October 30 fiscal year. Yeah, then the fiscal years referenced in the subsidiary modules, anything other than general ledger, relate to the fiscal year calendar as defined in the general ledger module.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think, is it required? How do you, we can have them in different periods, but is it required?
Yeah. So most of the modules have a year-end or period-end process that you run. Most of the transactional modules will have it. So general ledger, accounts receivable, accounts payable, sales order, inventory purchase order, they have period-end processing tasks. And they all have to be run separately. It would be very nice if they had one place in the system where you could run the period end, year end process for all the modules. Unfortunately, you have to run them for each module kind of one at a time. There are a handful of transactional modules that don't have a period end task. Like if you're using the bill of material module, the work order module, the RMA module, bank reconciliation does not have a period end, year end task. And those are really transactional modules. So they don't have a period end, year end task, but all the other transactional modules do. And then obviously your, efficiency modules like custom office and that type of thing, they don't have a period end, year end. And then there's one kind of other exception to that. If you're using the payroll module, that actually is a quarter end process. So since payroll is handled quarterly, you don't have to run it for each month. And then, at the end of the year, you're actually running a quarter end process at the end of every quarter.